I'm afraid of dying without doing something special. Don't make decisions out of anger. Don't make decisions out of desperation. If you know your worth, you know that you're moving with integrity. So welcome to Verdicts Vogue. I'm Cristina Perez Hisano, and today we're going to change it up a bit. I have here Rhonda Kelso, who's going to be one of the interviewers. I'm in the hot seat. She's going to be asking me questions. I have no idea what those questions are, and we're going to kick it off. So I'm going to give up control to you. Take it away.
Thank you. Thank you so much for indulging me and letting me sit in this seat. I know this is a seat of power. I've got it today. The first thing that I want to ask you is, when you're having a bad day, what's the music that you turn to?
Depends on why I'm having a bad day.
Let's go with a professional bad day.
Professional bad day, I usually listen to something that's uplifting and something that's like motivating. There's like one song that keeps coming to my head right now called Runnin'. I also work out to that song.
Okay. And how about if you have a personal rough day?
Usually it's some type of like heavy hip hop. The song that's coming to me is like an Eazy-E song, but I'm not going to say the title.
Not suitable for work?
Not suitable for work.
Okay. And the next question that I have to ask you is, when you walked in here this morning, you walked in with a very special bag.
I did.
And I want to hear the story behind it.
So
show the bag first of all. Let's see that.
My bag. I won this bag from Supio. So thank you, Supio, for having me win this bag. I won it completely fairly. We were at that women's conference last week in Newport. And it's probably one of my favorite conferences because it's by women, for women, and even the vendors are women. And we had, I think, 16 judges that were there present, right? 16 Nevada judges. And the Nevada Association for Justice does this. And they started like 6 or 8 years ago. And it is, every time I go there, I leave inspired. So while we were there, I saw this bag, like it was just being showcased. And I walked over to the Supio people and I signed up for a demo. And I never really win anything. So I didn't think I was going to win. But then yesterday it arrived at my office and it made my day.
Well, now you can no longer say you never win anything because you won a Prada bag.
I think I win at life.
I want to start off a little bit about some of your personal stuff. Where were you born?
In New York City, New York, Lenox Hill Hospital.
And were you raised in New York?
I was.
Okay.
I was raised in New York until the age of 22 when I came here.
And what brought you to Arizona?
I miss my parents.
Okay.
Yeah.
So your parents lived here then?
They had moved when I went to college kind of young, and I had moved away from home at 16 when I started my freshman year. And then when I graduated from Hofstra University, I started at Brooklyn Law, and my parents had moved to Arizona.
Oh, okay.
And so Brooklyn, I was living in Long Island, which was like about an hour and a half commute each way, doing the night program and working during the day. And I think the combination between the grind, the drive, the price, being by myself, and my parents kind of starting their roots in Arizona made me say, you know what, let me just go. And I ended up finishing up at ASU.
So where did you start law school then?
Brooklyn Law.
Brooklyn Law, and you graduated out of ASU?
ASU.
Okay. What was your very first job? Not your legal job, but the very first job that you had?
I worked as a barista at Dunkin' Donuts next door to my house in front of the racetrack.
And how long were you there?
So I was there. So we didn't grow up with a lot. So in order for me to buy a car, I needed to work. And my sister and I actually shared our first car. But we quickly learned that we needed to make money in order to pay for our stuff. And so since my dad was kind of strict, the only place to work was right next door. So I would get up at like 5 a.m., walk over to Dunkin' Donuts, and then start my shift. And so that was my first job until I worked at a cabinet company selling cabinets.
How old were you when you got your first job?
16.
16. Okay.
Yeah.
I know your parents have a little bit different background. Talk a little bit about your parents.
What part? So my parents came to this country when they were really young. My mom came when she was 14.
Okay.
She had been living with my great grandmother. Her name's Cristina. or was Cristina. And my grandmother, who was like the matriarch of the family, decided to leave Ecuador to come to the United States. But she left just on her own. So my mom, who was the oldest, and my aunt, who actually has cerebral palsy, and my uncle, who's my godfather, Teddy, they were left behind. So my mom and them, from the age of 7 until 14, kind of grew up being raised by my great grandmother.
Okay.
And so then they came over to this country where they eventually got their citizenship.
From Ecuador.
From Ecuador, yeah.
Okay. Boy, there's a story there, huh?
And they moved to Flushing, which they were living in the Flushing projects, like the Bland projects, which is where I kind of hung out all my summers. And then my dad, he was in Spain, and my grandfather was a coal miner, right? And that's like a whole story about that, about like this love story between my grandma and grandpa, who lied to a priest, but because they didn't want her to get married to a coal miner. And so, because her dad was a mayor. And so she actually ended up marrying the coal miner anyway, right? And she got married at 16, and they had 20 years of marriage, but he ended up dying from black lung. And so my dad was about 11 when his dad passed away. And so at that point, my grandmother saw my dad was getting it up to no good. And so she ends up coming over here, and they overstayed their welcome on a visa. And then he just started going to school here. So him and my mom met when they were 14.
So you're first generation.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. That's amazing.
So I didn't start speaking English until I was about like 6. So, because that's all I knew. So they wanted me to be in the ESL program when I was younger. And my mom said no. So I had to say, she was like, no, I'm not going to give my daughter special treatment. She has to figure it out.
Wow.
And so I started school not knowing any English. And so I was super shy, and figured it out, because my mom was like, I don't want the same thing that happened to me to happen to her. So my daughter has to learn how to speak English and be with the regular kids and so forth.
So are you bilingual?
I am bilingual.
Are you trilingual?
I studied French from the age of 14 till I was graduated college, and I had a minor. But when I went to Paris, I couldn't say anything except, how can I get to the bathroom? So no, I'm bilingual.
Fair enough. Your undergrad was in psychology and poli-sci?
Psychology, poli-sci, and a minor in philosophy.
Not that you were overachiever or anything, right? And then you went on to get a master's in criminal justice.
I did. I went and got a master's in criminal justice and learned how to do statistics, which I hated. But apparently I'm good at it. So, or I was good at it. I haven't touched math since.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah, I know.
You made it through, but that's it, huh?
No interest in it.
Who is a shero of yours?
Oh, that's a good question. So Jody, right, was the one who was talking about sheroes, or was it shero of mine? I'm going to say my mom. I don't give her enough credit.
Okay.
Because with that 5 foot tall dynamite full of attitude and passion was a lot of determination. And there was a time in my mom's life where she would actually walk me to class, wait to make sure that I finished the class, and then would walk me to the next class to make sure that I got there.
How old were you when she was doing that?
14. I didn't really like school when I was younger, so.
So you're a very determined,
You could say that.
diligent individual. Yes.
You could say that.
Yes. You opened Perez Law Group in 2010.
I did.
Tell us about that.
Let's see, 2010. I was working as an attorney for a boutique bankruptcy firm. And I was my gift was sales, right? So I did a lot of sales job to pay for school, because I had to pay for my own school. And so when I got there, the law firm realized that I was good at bringing in business, and I was able to sign clients fast. So at that time, that was the only thing that was available, because it was in the height of the recession. And they would sit me in front of a desk, and I would have 30-minute consultations all day long bringing clients. And my ratio at that time was like 85%
Wow.
of signups.
Okay.
And so they thought, okay, this is what she's good at. But the problem is I was doing that and then doing work. Then I started looking to see if there was something else because I wanted to practice actual law, right? Not just sign people up. And I had an opportunity to rent a room. When my firm found out that I had spoken to another attorney, they shut me out of the computer system
Oh my.
and kind of like gave me basically the boot. What they didn't realize was that I was working at 7:30 p.m. because I wasn't married at that time and I didn't have kids. I was working at 7:30 at night on cases, and I see an email pop up that says, we want to say thank you to Cristina for all her hard work. At this time, we are parting ways. We wish her nothing but the best. But I was still at the office, and this is the first that I learned. That's how I got fired, right?
Oh my.
And so that became like a whole other saga. But that forced me, it's like a blessing in disguise because it forced me to go ahead and rent this room, open up a law firm, and basically start with a Costco computer and myself. And that's how I started.
That was 2010.
November 3rd, 2010. I remember crying on November 7th because it was my 30th birthday. And I was like, what am I going to do? Because I didn't expect to start and I had no money. And so I'm like, I think I probably borrowed money to buy my computer from my parents at the time. I was like, so...
And here you are today.
I do. I know.
How many attorneys do you have with you today?
5.
And your entire staff is?
20.
Wow.
I know. It's kind of crazy, right?
And you've expanded your areas of practice as well.
So I stopped doing bankruptcy in 2023. Jeff Wolf at our firm handles bankruptcy and estate planning. And then I have started focusing on personal injury since like 2017 when I had my first case fall into my lap.
Great.
I know.
What other areas of practice are at your firm currently?
So currently we do bankruptcy, estate planning, probate, personal injury, like wrongful death stuff. We have a lot of kind of the crazy cases that most attorneys turn down, which have actually become like my specialty.
Okay. Within the professional community, I know one thing that is dear to your heart, close to your heart, is the Latina community.
Correct.
Talk a little bit about what you have accomplished in the Latina community.
I don't know if I've accomplished anything in the Latina community, but for me, one of the big things is appreciating where I come from and being true to myself. I think for a long time I tried to assimilate and not embrace my Latina roots. And then I realized what a shame that was and a disservice. Because growing up, I didn't have anyone that looked like me that was a lawyer. And it wasn't until I applied for like a minority writing scholarship that I met Booker Evans. And he really was the person that made me realize that I could do it too. And so that's when I kind of started realizing, hey, this is something special. And even today, the 3% of attorneys are Latino women. It used to be 2%. So we've gained a percentage between 2024 and 26. But it's something that I pride myself in because there's not a lot of people do it. And I want to be able to say that if I'm out there, that someone sees it and can say, I can do it too.
If you were standing in front of a room full of
all these questions,
Latina women who are thinking about career choices, what suggestion would you offer them? What would you say to them?
Don't listen to what others say, because there's a lot of limitations that get placed on us. I grew up in a traditional household where my mom didn't work. She wasn't allowed to work. She wasn't allowed to go to school, right? She got married to my dad at 18 and he wanted his wife at home with the kids, which is what most men wanted at that time, or maybe still want now. And my mom pushed us to do more. You hear a lot of times, even today, when they're like, okay, well, as soon as a woman has a baby, then she kind of stops, at least at the mentality in the Latino community. And I would say keep pushing. There's always a way. Don't settle for being a paralegal. Don't settle for being a legal assistant. Just do it. What's the worst that can happen? You already have the no, get the yes. right? You're going to, if you don't do it, you're going to be living with regret. Why not go ahead and try to see how far you can push yourself? The worst that can happen is you fail.
And you had a couple kids, and you're
I
still
do. I
going
have
strong.
I have 2 kids, Eva and Enzo.
Tell us a little bit about your favorite family activity.
So my favorite family activity, I think, is bedtime.
Okay.
Because one I'm usually home for. And it's now, because they're now grown to be 8 years old and 10, it's hard for us all to fit in a queen size bed. But even like yesterday when I was laying with Enzo, because he likes me sleeping next to him, and then Eva jumps in the bed because sometimes feels left out. It's like the part where you're never gonna, I mean, it's uncomfortable, and I usually end up sleeping on my side with like a crinked neck. But at the end of the day, those times go by so fast. Right. So I like cherish them.
Right.
Yeah. I wish I had more of those.
What is the most challenging thing that you deal with in your professional realm?
Like what do you mean? Like in
something perhaps that you're shocked you're still dealing with, or you're shocked, things that happen that surprise you.
I get a lot of, does your husband own this firm? I get a lot of that. I get a lot of male attorneys pushing back and saying, I've been practicing for 30 years. I don't really get a lot of plaintiff's attorneys that tell me that they want to modify my protective order. And I'm like, well, that's too bad, right? So I get a lot of pushback. And I think sometimes it's because of that. I've also have gotten a lot of, more at my old firm, not since then, but that I either had one person insinuate that I was sleeping with my partner in order for me to become partner. And so you still have that.
Wow.
I do get that. Or I get a lot of, well, you don't look like a lawyer. And yeah, so I still deal with that.
And what does a lawyer look like? Look at you, look at me.
I don't know. It has
Very different, but we're both attorneys, right?
Has a penis. That's what they look like.
Oh. What's your favorite place to vacation?
Hawaii. I like Kona. There's a resort that I really like, Rosewood Resort, and it's like my happy place. I actually remember we had that Cases and Coffee at that time when I was in Kona, and I showed everyone my background. It's like the most peaceful place on earth.
So Cases and Coffee, that's a great accomplishment, I guess, is a good way to put it. We were both involved in the women's group for the Arizona Trial Lawyers Association, and you were awarded a Volunteer of the Year for that.
Well, we were awarded.
We were awarded. But let's talk a little bit about what is the women's group from the Arizona Trial Lawyers Association.
So I was surprised that even though the Arizona Association of Justice had been established in like the 1960s, that it was the 2020s and they didn't have a women's caucus, right? And so Ilya Lerma had called me one day, and she kind of had pushed me into, not pushed me, just forcefully nudged me to join and get involved.
Encouraged you strongly.
Yeah. I think it was more of a push because I was like, Ilya, I'm really, really busy right now. I can't handle it anymore. She was like, you got to do this. And she was president at the time. And she said, I want you to start a women's group. And I said, okay. And then Francis Lynch and you, Rhonda Kelso, were interested in helping me do that. And so we started a women's committee. And then we started meeting. And then we realized that there was a need for women attorneys, plaintiff attorneys, to have a place to vent, right? Because we have this listserv that sometimes was toxic, or people would mansplain, or women were, I guess, embarrassed to put their questions because someone would give like a snarky remark. And
or even fear. We even heard that there was some fear that was involved with some women that were fearful of posting questions because of the types of responses that they got back.
Yeah, because there's a lot of assholes on that listserv. And so what we did is we started our own listserv, right? We were like, let's just start. And it was easy, and we did it. And then we said, let's start something. It was like during COVID, and I was like, well, after COVID, but no one was really meeting. I said, let's do something that's not going to affect everyone's schedule and make us have to drive down somewhere. Let's do a Zoom meeting and have a place where everyone can ask questions. And so we started this Women's Cases and Coffee, bring bring a question, bring a case, bring a value. And we started this group that grew from like 3 people to, I don't know, like we have it, it's been monthly for years now. And I've had people tell me that it's changed their practice. I mean, we were just in Newport and we were being told how it changed their practice.
Right, right. It was so significant that people had a space, women had a space to ask questions, professional questions. Sometimes there's some personal questions, but really it's professional questions
Well,
about
it goes from everything. It goes
how
from
do
how
you
do you
handle
balance, what kind of software do you use? I'm thinking about going out on my own. What's my case worth? This attorney's doing this. And we always have, I mean, because there's such a vast experience in that group, right? So we have people who've been practicing for decades, and then we have newbies that come on board, and everyone's treated the same. You get the same 10 minutes. I watch the clock, ask the question, they ask the question, and then we monitor it, and then the next person gets asked. And there's never any judgment. And then there's a recap at the end where I send out, here's what we talked about.
And two, one of the things that I really enjoy with that particular group is that there's diverse areas of practice.
Correct.
So there's experience, there's practice, there's wisdom that all come together at the same meeting, same time.
True.
And
so we have
share.
Lisa Counters, who does Bad Faith, right? She was trained under Anita Rosenthal, who's like a giant in the bad faith area. There's Bonnie Dombrowski, Francis Lynch, yourself. And so we have, I mean, there's like a number of others. I mean, Rachel Frazier has entertainment and background and criminal background. And so we've been able to really cultivate this really cool group of women that it's like a staple in our month. Do you want to talk about Enzo?
Yeah, you want to talk about Enzo a little bit? Yeah, tell me about your son.
What?
5 minutes?
5
minutes. Okay, start.
Okay. Talk about Enzo?
Yeah, a little bit about Enzo.
So Enzo is the man who changed my life, right?
Okay.
He is, I mean, besides Enzo, my dad is the other man who I respect more than anything in this world. But Enzo came into this world and he freaking rocked my world. He not from the time he was born till now, he is the only person that can get me to say yes every single time. He is also the only person who has tested my patience in every single way and the best negotiator that I have ever met in my life because I am sleeping next to him almost every night when I can. And so he came into this world with a 2% chance of being born. Right. So we had a less than 2% chance because I couldn't have babies. And we got him on the first try. Right. So it was like a God gift that I had. And then he was an awful pregnancy. Right. Eva was like an easy pregnancy. He was an awful pregnancy. And when he was born, he was the loudest baby ever. Right. I couldn't go to the gym. I couldn't go back to like work immediately. He cried for everything. And that's kind of Enzo. Because Enzo is the most determined individual I've ever met. And when he was about 1.5, I started noticing things with him that weren't right. Like before I became an attorney, I was also, I had the opportunity to become a ABA therapist. They wanted me to, I was a teacher for kids with autism back in New York. And this private school wanted to hire me, pay for my master's and so forth. But at that time, I was only 19 when I was graduating college. And I decided to go to law school instead. But I knew the signs. And even though like in the Hispanic community, it's kind of different. They always say, oh, no, boys develop later. It's okay. He's not talking. It's okay. It's different. But I knew there was something off. And
like, what were you seeing?
So the lack of the eye contact, the lack of the words. He didn't answer to his name. He would get into these horrible like tantrums when he couldn't express himself, right? So imagine wanting something and not being able to verbalize what you want. So this kid would be in the middle. I mean, I was afraid to go out with him like into a restaurant because he would be like, if he had like this explosion, I'd see him, he'd like be on the floor, and then people think that I have a badass kid and they don't realize that this kid is just struggling to say what he wants. And so for me, it really like, it was like a time in my life where it was like really difficult because I couldn't fix it.
Right.
I knew something with it. So finally he got diagnosed. And once he got the diagnosis, I mean, it was when I started my business. So it was when I went out on my own for my partner in 2020. And I like put all of my time into this child. because I needed to get him the right treatment, the therapies, and so forth. And people wait years to get approved by DDD. It is the shittiest process that you can possibly go through. And for the person who doesn't know, the average kid gets diagnosed at 5, right? So Enzo's 2. At the age of 3, he already had DDD. He had a one-on-one. He had speech therapy. He had play therapy. He was in a ABA clinic, and it was all paid for. The only reason I could do that is because I had the help from Amy Langerman, who is another attorney, another giant in the plaintiff's litigation world, right? And she has since stepped back. She took the time to tell me, you need to do this.
And your diligence. You weren't giving up.
I was not giving up. I needed to figure out like what's the best outcome for this child so that he can have the most normal life that he can have. Because at the time, they had told me that he would never speak. Like they were going to have like a machine, and I was preparing for the worst. And I'm like, okay, we're going to have a machine. I'm teaching him sign language. I'm like trying to get him to talk. I'm like, fast forward. Now he's 8. He's at school. He is on his own. They took his one-on-one away. He is thriving. He is so bright. He's still a pain in the ass, but that is because he wants to be, not because he can't express himself, right? So he is just one of the most fantastic human beings on this planet. And he is going to be a shining star when he gets older. As a parent of such a determined child, I fear for myself because he is not going to let up on anything he wants to do, right? So he is now, I mean, he's done amazing.
You're a badass attorney and one proud mama.
I love my kids.
Thank you so much for your time here today. I really appreciate you indulging me.
Well, thank you for all these questions.
You're very welcome.
I'm so happy you did this. Okay, here's part 2, and so in the hot seat, but Rhonda has since gone on her way, and we now have Gil Negretti, a friend of mine, and why are you surprised I said
Right
friend?
now. Okay, awesome.
Why? Why do you say
No, I
that?
love it. I love it. That's great.
What do you want to say?
No, listen, I just saw the first part of this episode, and you were talking about Enzo. You were describing me, dynamic, motivated, great negotiator. It was a great segue to bring me in
Oh, yeah, I bet.
as
I
Sophia leaves the room. She's like,
bet. First of all, you can't compare yourself to Enzo. There's no one like him.
you said the greatest man in the world.
My son.
Okay.
My son is the
right.
greatest man in the world.
Every household has the greatest man in the world.
Is that how your mom would describe you?
Probably not. My dad's the greatest man in the world in her eyes.
Okay.
And he is. He's a saint. But this is about you.
Okay.
One thing we didn't cover that I was listening to is you talk about you go to this place, Trevor's, all the time. Tell me about Trevor's.
Trevor's. I love Trevor's. So Trevor's is we go to 2, one on Indian School and one on Shea, and it's a pizza place that has so I come from New York, so pizza has always been a big staple in my life, and there's not a lot of good pizza in Arizona, but then I met Trevor's, right? They started sometime in the last 5 years, but they have like oven brick, like, is it called brick oven pizza?
Yeah.
Okay. And my son loves it because they have these 2 video games. He likes to play the golf game, and he likes to do the shooting game, which he has me play with him, Buck Hunter.
He plays Golden Tee?
Yeah.
I love Golden Tee.
Yeah, he does.
I have that in my office. I play it all the time, every day.
So he likes playing both of those, and then I get to eat pizza, watch him play, and it's like a staple for our house. So I go all the time.
Okay.
I actually ordered it this past weekend on my own when I was hanging out at the house because they went skiing when I got back from the women's conference. And I was like, I ate Trevor's, delivered, and then watched the movie.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I also saw in the video that your parents were immigrants, and that's something I don't think you really talk about.
Okay.
And, obviously right now we're dealing with immigration. And what, if you mind me asking, what is the status? Like they're legal citizens now, things like that?
So they are. So my mom's a U.S. citizen and my dad is now a U.S. citizen. He was a resident for a long time. But sometime, I think it was like maybe it was like the first time that first time Trump came into presidency or just shortly before that, there was an issue that started and they started stopping him every time we went through customs and they would detain him. and do this whole investigation. So he eventually let go of his Spanish citizenship and is now a citizen as well.
Really?
Mhm.
So, and that's the thing right now, being an immigrant or even being documented, there's a law in Arizona that they're starting to use where they're making people carry their documents with them, even if they're a documented citizen.
It makes me so mad.
Yeah, I mean, what could you tell families out there knowing that your dad went through this, where he's been detained? What can you tell them when something like that happens to their family and they need to call somebody? They think of a lawyer, but obviously we don't do immigration.
We don't.
Your sister does.
She does.
Your
And
sister is somebody that does immigration law.
she's really good. And she actually just had something against, she sent it to me. It was against the United States. Christina answered. They did a writ of habeas corpus for unlawfully detaining someone. She filed the motion. They made her go through all of the hoops. And then once she filed it, they unopposed it. So they released him.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I want her to talk more about that because that's not my world. But what I could tell families is don't sign anything because they're getting you to sign all types of things. Don't talk to them because they're not your friends, and then call an attorney or at least someone who knows an attorney that can help.
And you should be able to ask for an attorney right away, right? I mean, even as soon as you get detained,
Yeah.
legally speaking.
Legally speaking. But how often does that happen? I mean, we know that happens we have Miranda, right? And how often do police officers, and I know there's good police officers, but there's also a lot of bad police officers. And
There's not a lot.
Okay, fine.
There's some.
Thank you. There's some bad apples. There's a lot of good ones, but there are some bad apples that take advantage of their power. And I think right now what's happening is that's the same thing with these officers or agents. They're not even officers that are taking advantage of people and doing really shitty things to people.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that will change with the head of Homeland Security being released and the new person, or are you familiar with politics like that?
Yes, I'm familiar with politics
Okay.
like that. I do watch the news.
Okay.
No, I don't think it's going to change.
Yeah.
I don't think it's. I think that they're taking advantage and giving a lot of power to people who don't deserve it.
So as long as this administration is in power, we're probably going to continue to have these issues.
So,
And I'm not trying to get political.
because I don't get political. I try to be very on the
let's
line.
be honest. For the duration of the rest of this presidency, we know that ICE is going to continue to stop and arrest people, sometimes that are even U.S. citizens, and people do need to be prepared.
Listen, the only ice that I like is in my drinks, right?
Got you.
So I don't think that.
You don't like your whiskey neat?
No, I don't like my whiskey neat. I like it on the rocks. And I also like my vodka soda on the rocks. So yeah, I don't like what ICE is doing. Because I hear a lot of the stories that happen from other attorneys or from my sister and so forth, or even clients who call me for help, because I get a lot of phone calls from clients from the years that I've been helping people. And my cell phone number is in a lot of their phones, right? So they'll call me with any questions and for guidance, and I always direct them to Sabrina because I can't help them in this area. But some of the things that they say are just heartbreaking, like the way that they're taking down doors, putting 74-year-old women in, detaining them with bad hips. It's pretty disgusting.
I think as we sit here also, I wanted to point out the fact that you are in a position of power. You do have a lot of resources. I feel like I've done a good job of that throughout my life and my career, where even today, my aunt calls me for a referral for a family lawyer.
Okay.
But yesterday it was somebody calling for a criminal lawyer. Another day it's bankruptcy, personal injury, whatever it is, this is your show and people are watching it because of you. And I think it's important that people know that, yeah, you might specialize in certain things and there are certain parts of the practice that you're very good at, and particularly personal injury law. But that if anyone ever has a question about anything, they should be able to call you.
Oh, absolutely. If I can't help them, I'm the first person to try to guide them into the right direction. I mean, I'd rather them call me and me take, 5-10 minutes of my time and get them to the right place, even though there's nothing in it for me, than have them, Google someone and get into the wrong hands, right? For an attorney that doesn't care. Because there's a lot of those out there.
And speaking of that, there are a lot of attorneys that
That
don't
don't care.
There's a
Yeah.
lot of family lawyers that do it. They need to get paid, criminal lawyers, bankruptcy lawyers, whatever the case is.
Okay.
But this is what I think makes you different. This is what I've gravitated towards these last several months and really getting to know you is you are.
Are you admitting that we're friends?
Yeah.
Isn't that like
Not so fast.
Not
No, we're friends. We're friends.
no. I don't know if we were friends, but we.
Wait a minute, you're gonna walk it back? I get to walk it back. You don't get to walk it back. It came right out of your
put it
mouth.
back, I took it out.
There you are, buddy.
No, I mean it's an unlikely pairing, right? So we went from not like disliking, but we went from disliking each other we disliking each other to getting to know you past like this stuff. So I could consider you a friend now.
You mean it passed the website that says all the negative things about me?
You know what? That website did have a big effect on how I saw you.
Yeah, thank you, Brandon Raffi.
It took a lot for me to realize that it was bullshit, but because of the time and you winning those cases and
Yes.
being full of shit,
Wait a minute, you said I won.
you did win.
I know this is your show, but
I
what did I
know.
win?
You won both of those
I
cases.
won both of those cases against Brandon Raffi,
I know.
Reese Muhammad, Andrew Gould, Andrew Hallaby, Andrew Drummond,
Ben
Andrew. Who?
Isn't Ben Himmelstein?
Ben Himmelstein was on it, but Ben is on another case against me
There's
right now, so I got to
three of
behave.
them.
I got to
Okay.
behave.
Okay.
And he's a big fan of the podcast. He's a big fan of my podcast.
Let me tell you.
But hold on. There's more Andrews. Andrew Griffin, Andrew Jones, Andrew Cunanan. Oh wait, okay, these are not lawyers.
We have a lot of Andrews in your life, dude.
Well, that's how I feel with Brandon Raffi's law gang.
Well, I'm not going to make any comments on that. You know how I feel,
You're
but
a sweet girl.
I know that what happened was I did look at all of the documents. I did review a lot of the stuff that was going through like the lawsuit, and I was really surprised. That those allegations were so far fetched.
I'm going to give you some breaking news on your own show.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, a little breaking news.
what's up? Go
You
ahead.
know, Jesus on our last podcast, if you watch our
Oh,
podcast,
Jesus.
said, he didn't think there was consequences for what Brandon Raffi did. And I said, there is consequences.
Okay.
And so I found out yesterday that my good friend Brandon Raffi has budgeted $1.5 million to his marketing team to go out there and hire as many endorsers as possible
Okay.
to try and combat this PR. It's like a PR move, right?
Yeah.
To combat my social media, my podcasts, and my TikToks. So
Like
that
him
he can-
showing up to basketball games with his family.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You saw that.
I didn't say it.
I saw it. You saw it.
I did.
We all saw it.
Well, I know.
Mr. Family Man, but he's on Bumble on the weekends.
Stop it.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, I don't know any of that. That is not. That did not come out of my mouth.
I saw the text.
Okay,
But
go on.
back to you. More about you. What I wanted to say is there are a lot of
can't believe
lawyers.
it.
Seriously,
Okay.
there are a lot of lawyers out there that they're in it for the wrong reasons,
True.
including the person I just mentioned that I've been in battle with. He's in it for the wrong reasons. But then there's people like
Money.
you. There's people like you, and there's only a handful, honestly, and I can almost name them on this show, of real lawyers that are out there that actually care about the community. And that's why I do support you. People always say, Gil, you have your own law firm. Why do you support Kevin Rowe? I'm Kevin Rowe. Hey, how you doing?
You're
I'm
wearing
Kevin
your
Rowe.
Lerner Rowe
I'm wearing
shirt.
my Lerner Rowe shirt. Now it's Kevin Rowe. But Kevin knows that I'm the face of Arizona, right?
Okay.
He knows that.
I'm
So
sure
rocking
Kevin
I'm
would
rocking his
co-sign
gear.
that.
He'll
He's not
co-sign that
going
all
to.
day. Him and Glenn's gonna be like, "You're fired."
Yeah.
As soon as he sees us,
Get
you're
outta here.
fired. You're out of here. Get out of here. But guys like Kevin, I support
Okay.
because he genuinely cares about the community. So when we talk off the record,
Okay.
you've actually cried for your clients.
Oh yeah.
You've actually cried even when you got a good result, in my opinion, but you didn't feel like you got a good enough result overall because the family was hurting so much.
How do you know that? How did you know that you were there?
No, you told me. We've talked about some of these cases off the
No,
record.
you know what?
And there's things that you've told me. Let me
I
finish.
know.
I know you like to interrupt. Let me
Oh my
finish.
God. Go.
That's one thing about being lawyers. They all like to talk over each other.
Go.
No, seriously.
No, go.
I think that you are one of those people that genuinely cares about the client. It's not a number. It's not just another case you're working on and it'll end. It's something that you genuinely, it sticks with you. It stays with you. I'm talking about the drowning case. I'm talking about the kid that went through the trap door right? We're talking about the person that got knocked down and hit on the head by stereo equipment, by DJ equipment.
Yeah.
You talk about these things like these are your friends and family. And this is what's important for me to tell this podcast, and it's your podcast. I would like more people to tune in and watch you because they're actually they're getting information and they're getting informed, but they're getting to know a lawyer that actually cares about the community and its clients.
Well, thank you for saying that. That's actually really nice of you. Probably one of the nicest things you've said to me. It's true. It was actually really nice. And I was trying to think back. I'm like, how did you know? But you know what? When we finished that mediation, for a particular case, because we can't talk about it because there's a confidentiality in it. I remember being so down about it because of the result, and you thought I was nuts, right, for that whole thing. But I care so
I thought
much.
because it was a good outcome. I thought for this particular facts.
Yeah.
Like these weren't great facts on a great case, and yet I still thought you got a very good result, and that's the product of hard work and lawyering.
Yeah, I mean, I do. Sometimes I care too much. Like I get invested in my clients. I get invested in my clients. I get invested in the outcome, not for like the money portion of it. Cause whoever knows me knows that I don't do this for the money. I mean, yeah, I need to live and survive, but a lot of it is so that I can give back to the community and also to make a difference in someone's life. Right. Like, because I take a lot of cases that other people don't want, or cases that most attorneys will say, oh, that's too hard. And so for me, being able to help someone who probably wouldn't get the help on their own is something that I find so valuable. And it's kind of what we do, right? Because you and I are in a position of resources and knowledge where we have the ability to help a family. I mean, right now, not yet. You can't do it on your own ethically, right? You'd have to refer them, but I'm hoping that I'm hoping that you will go back and try to get reinstated because I think you should. I tell a lot of people that, and some people think it's crazy, but I tell them that you have a lot to offer this world, and I think you'd be a waste if you didn't try to become a lawyer again.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Were you just trying to return the favor?
No, I don't need to return the favor.
You're like, as soon as I leave, I hope.
You would really think that I would say that?
No,
You're so
I'm
You're
just
so full of
kidding.
shit.
I'm just kidding.
No, I wouldn't waste my breath saying something I don't believe.
Oh, look at you.
That's
I
the
love
difference.
it.
That's the difference between me and you.
Tell me a little bit about your firm. And I know people get carried away and, we've settled over billions of dollars and we have offices in 20 cities and things like that. But the thing that people should also know is that you do have a good infrastructure with your law firm. You have several lawyers. You have at least a dozen admins, maybe more.
We have more.
You have 2 offices, and you're going to grow within the Valley.
Yeah.
But you want to stay focused on PI. Do you think PI is going to continue to be what it is today in 10 years with autonomous driving?
Well, yeah, I do actually. So yes, that's a loaded question. So I don't know.
It really was. I go tell you about
the whole list. I'm like, you're like, what is PI? I'm thinking
like,
tort firm. Then I'm like, wow, that's a compound question. Objection. Rephrase that shit. No, no. You know what? So breaking down your question, I think that it depends. I think it depends on how our state bar handles certain issues that are coming up. We have a lot of things regarding tort reform that our attorneys in Arizona have to be more vocal about. We know that Uber has an initiative in California that they're trying to put forth that attorneys can only collect a certain percentage, no more than a certain percentage of fees, including medical liens and so forth. If that passes in California, that is going to go throughout, because whatever happens in California and New York usually spreads to the rest of the states. And so I know people like Brett Schreiber, who is Bob Simon, who are they're fighting and combating that, right? So Chris Spagnoli, who is I think she's one of my idols. they're fighting against that to do that. I think we need to be more vocal here in Arizona to make sure that doesn't happen. Because if tort reform comes in and they hide it under a certain bill, then that's going to affect our jobs, right? And it's also going to affect how we help people. Look what they did with this whole ABSs and access to justice. They put it in a nice bow, right? They wrapped shit in a nice bow and said, oh, well, let's do this ABS because it'll help people afford attorneys and so forth. What did it do? Nothing. It caused a whole bunch of money in private equity to come into ours and help and affect small businesses and people who, like me, who now have to find other ways to generate clients and so forth because we don't have the millions of dollars to like put into advertising and all
or
that
to pay for the lead generators.
Exactly. And or they come in and just become lead generators and then shuffle it out to other states. So we have to be more open and aware of what's going on and not be so quick to just be silent. I think our problem as attorneys in Arizona is that we're not vocal enough. And for a long time, I wasn't vocal.
So you read my mind because I was going to ask you about that ABS model and if you thought it was a shit show. And I think people need to understand that, in my opinion, and now I hear it's your opinion, it is a shit show.
For sure.
Because what happens is a lot of times this private equity, this money comes in and you can anoint anyone as the greatest lawyer in Arizona and the greatest PI lawyer. I mean, we know my arch nemesis, when we asked him if he was the greatest PI lawyer, he didn't even know.
He wasn't even a trial lawyer.
He's not even a trial lawyer. He told you that. He's a real estate agent or something, or investor.
I'm not going to,
But
stop trying to get me involved in your nonsense.
I know. But the thing is, you're not on buses. You're not on billboards. So people may think, well, then she's not that big. And that's what people need to kind of start understanding. And the word needs to get out more that you don't have to have a jingle and a bus and a billboard to be a successful attorney.
My results speak for themselves.
The lawyers that I talk about that are the small group that I think are amazing lawyers, with the exception of taking Kevin out, they're all non-billboard, non-radio and TV lawyers. They're real lawyers that get in the trenches. In fact, who do these billboard lawyers call when they need to take a case to trial? They're not doing it.
No, I know.
Well, Kevin will say we do it. Yeah, they do. Hey, the only two that I can really say that I know for certain do their own litigation is Lerner and Rowe and husband and wife. Okay. And I will say Mark Breyer is a great lawyer. I don't know anything about his wife except she talks like this.
You said
this is Breyer. But other than that,
no comment. No comment.
But other than those two marketing firms,
you're not baiting me.
Other than those two marketing firms, the real lawyers are the ones that are not on billboards and buses and paying for sponsorships on the front of magazines.
Well, let me ask you something.
And you're one of those.
Let me ask you something.
Yeah.
You started off kind of in the same way that I was. And then somewhere along the line, you got onto billboards.
I got talked into it.
Please. Was it what made you get onto billboards?
Ego.
You know what? I'm so proud of you for admitting that.
It's everyone's ego.
Ego, right?
What do you think? My buddy Kevin and Brandon, they'd have no egos. They're the two biggest egos in Arizona. Come on.
Listen, I don't know, but I'm glad that you said.
But Kevin's a good guy ego.
Yeah, good guy. Well, he does a lot for like Panda and stuff and organizations. So yeah, so I get that.
$2 million a year.
Yeah.
He raises $2 million a year and gives it all away.
I commend that.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I rock with him.
Yeah.
But he still has a big ego.
Okay, fine.
As do all lawyers. All lawyers do. Even you. But a little bit. But what I'm trying to tell people is that you don't have to be on a bus and a billboard. It'd be great if you were.
What's your ego?
My ego?
From 1 to 10, 10 being the highest.
Oh man.
Let's do before. Pre-suspension?
12.
Pre-suspension, 12.
Yes, 12.
Oh, I would agree. Okay, post-suspension?
5.
9.
9. Dude, that's crazy. Dude, the bar needs to know I've been humbled. Come on.
So he is the most humble person I know.
Thank you.
And he really regrets everything that he's done. And he isn't. Well, just what do you mean?
I've learned from
he's
what
learned
I've
from
done.
his mistakes.
I don't regret it. I've learned from it.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
You know what? I'm gonna chat GPT it before I go to my reinstatement hearing.
You shouldn't be chat GPTing stuff.
I know. Here we go. What is it? We're wasting water in Missouri?
No, you know what it is? You can waive if you have an attorney representing you.
Okay.
Okay. If you have an attorney representing you, I presented on this topic in Nashville, right?
Listen up, ladies and gentlemen. This is actually good.
Oh, thanks. And everything else wasn't.
If you don't listen to anything else, listen to this.
I can't with you. Okay. So 800 million people worldwide use ChatGPT or some type of generative AI, right? It is the first time since Google came out that other competitors have gained market share on Google, which means that our clients are using ChatGPT first before going to Google, right? Now,
I do it every day.
Yeah, I know, but that's not good.
I grade all my baseball cards when I'm looking at them through ChatGPT.
But baseball cards are okay.
Or no, actually not ChatGPT, through the AI. When you go to Google,
Yeah.
you can go to AI mode, or you can go to news, or you go to images or videos.
Okay.
I go right to AI or right to the AI auto, and then I type it in, and then I use it. What are you talking about? ChatGPT per se?
Oh, ChatGPT, Claude, so forth. So there was a case that came out and decided on February 17th of 2026, Hepner versus United States. United States versus Hepner, sorry. And in this case, someone was indicted for fraud and a whole bunch of other related allegations based on his role as a CEO of a company. So what he does, they do a search warrant and they confiscate all his stuff, right? Before they had confiscated his stuff, including his computers, he went and put in certain search terms in Claude and said, what are my defenses or so forth, what it is, and blah, 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 and what's my strategy. So a discovery dispute ensued, and the court in New York, Second District, found that he had waived attorney-client privilege, right? So they could discover everything that he said. So if a client is putting, what's my case worth, right? If a client's saying, how is my medical, or uploading their medical records, or if a client is saying my attorney's email, that attorney sent privilege, right, in because of the privileges, communication between you and your attorney that's intended to be private and that is actually kept private, right? So what happens is if you take that and you put it into an open AI system like this knucklehead did, it waives that whole privilege.
Right.
And so they were able to find all those prompts. If you're putting all those search terms in, your clients are doing that. So what I've come up with is, how do you do it? Just like what we do with social media, right? We have at our intake process, we have a social media form that says, do not post on social media. Posting on social media can affect your case. You agree by agreeing to our representation that you will not do this. Do clients listen? No. But are we saving our behinds? Yes. So what I put together was a form that says, you will not use open AI, because the court left it for interpretation as to whether closed AI would matter, right? Closed AI, there is an expectation of privacy. Open AI, there is not. But it becomes a serious issue because the same way that defense attorneys are putting, I want your request for production, they can easily put request for production for your search history.
No, I know.
And think about all the things, even deposition training.
I'm going to make a note for my lawyer to put it in my request for productions against all these Goombas. Because I know they can't read or write, so they're definitely using AI.
Again, no comment. You're not baiting me on that.
You know
one.
them. You know these guys.
I don't really know them like you do.
They've tried to take you to lunch.
I know why you're saying that.
They try to talk to you.
No comment. No comment.
We'll get your deposition.
You better stop. Just gotta poke that bear, right?
No, but what you're saying is absolutely correct. People should know out there that anything you put into Chat GPT or Open AI can become discoverable.
Oh yeah.
That's crazy.
I know.
Real quick, because we're running out of time, but two things I want to cover. You brought up Uber, and we know there's a lot of sexual assaults, things that happen in Ubers around the country.
Yeah.
That's something you're familiar with.
I am.
So tell me just a quick segment about that, and I want to ask you something else.
Okay. So is it like one sexual assault every 8 seconds? Something like that in Uber. They're not properly vetting their drivers. I actually have a case right now I can't remember. It's like one every 8 minutes. I think it's 8 minutes, not 8 seconds. They're not properly vetting their drivers. I mean, you're basically getting into this car with a stranger, and then they take the hands off approach. And so we have a lot of sex assault allegations. I say allegations because they're not all proven. And then we have issues with people, not having any recourse. And so there was a case recently, I think it was this early quarter, that came in, and I think Deborah Chang was a person, and she obtained an $8 million verdict in district court against Uber for a sex assault case that happened. We currently have a couple of sex assault cases at our firm that we are looking into and investigating as well, because it has to stop. I mean, yeah.
Well, one thing about taking on these types of cases, some people will say, "Oh, you're just trying to get money from Uber," things like that, right? Because some people, the naysayers or people that are always opposing whatever lawyers are doing. But this is actually a good thing, because what it will do is create remedial measures for Uber to maybe start putting cameras in their vehicles to protect the driver and the passengers. Now, there might be some privacy issues or something like that we'll have to get through. But these types of verdicts do bring about change,
Yes,
and hopefully reduce these types of incidences that occur, or violence that occurs.
Well, with the bullshit that Uber's trying to pull out in California, trying to limit attorneys' right to recovery, right, and then limit and try to cut off representation for potential clients, and at the same time, they know that they have a whole bunch of allegations. They have a whole fund to pay for these issues. It's so hypocritical of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
In one way, they're saying, hey, you guys can't recover, so this way we can keep doing our garbage service.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like letting your 14-year-old girl get in the car with a perfect stranger.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've become numb in this society for that. It's like, now think about that. Like 20 years ago, would you ever get into a car with someone you didn't know? What do you think Uber is? It's any Tom, Dick, or Harry that wants to like fill out a form and then get like whatever app, and then all of a sudden they're picking up people, and they can. A lot of the times they think about there's really no vetting in place. And then Uber up until this time has always been like, well, they're independent agents, so we're independent contractors. We can't do anything about it. So I think that's what has to change. And unfortunately, with our system, legal system, the way to get their attention is through bringing these types of cases, not being afraid of fighting them, because they're going to fight them, and then get these verdicts for our clients.
Very well said. Last thing, we talked about AI, chat, GPT, things like that.
Okay.
But AI is also being used in another way, where you have brought this to the public, and you've talked about this on several news outlets about these young guys in Scottsdale that were using women's faces in Scottsdale to create like porn websites or whatever.
Awful.
Tell me about that.
So these deep fakes, like these deep fake sex porn models that they've created. So I have a case with my co-counsel out of Kansas City, Nick Brand, from Dolan Brand. And it was 3 young ladies who are anonymous. We filed a case under seal that had their pictures taken from a social media site, and they were fully clothed. These creators of Creator Core took the photos. The software has the ability to take the photos and unclothe them. And then there's another process that then makes that image into an actual video that looks real, which they made them into OnlyFans models. So these 3 individuals, which they're young, they're in their early 20s, have made tons of money by selling, basically virtually trafficking people, even though without their consent and without their knowledge. So the only reason one of my girls found out was that somebody from like Seattle, Washington called her and said, hey, I see this video. I don't think it's you, but it kind of looks like you. And she goes and looks. It had the same tattoos that she had. It looked like her. And they basically made her into a porn star. And then another one of the girls, they're selling her model, because you have to train the models to do what you want for all types of fetishes. It's just a world that I didn't know existed.
Go down a rabbit hole. And
tons of things that you do. But they take that person, that model, and they now have like another where they sell the model, and you can buy her for like X $99, and you can make that model do whatever you want. So they're training other young individuals, other men to sell these women. And then they were so dumb about it that they put it all in the open. So it shows, you don't use someone who's really famous because then they can fight the case. Use someone who has between this and this followers because that's a perfect person.
Micro influencers.
Yes, because they don't have the money to fight it. So when we took the case, we really didn't do it I know we didn't do it for the money. We thought that there was no way that
There'd be compensation.
There'd be compensation. We did it just to stop it for these girls, right? Because it was 3 girls and they were young, and I would want to stop it for my daughter's 10. The youngest one was like 19, and I wanted to. When I signed up without it, I'm like, yeah, let's go ahead. I don't care. Let's put our own money into this case. Let's see what we can do. And then it just turned into this like huge case where, we're going to, they're already putting legislation in Kansas City. I know there's legislation in Arizona, like to take it down. And that's why we signed up for it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What can women, like, should they reach out to you if it's happened to them?
Yeah.
Or do you want to be like that person that navigates them through these times of, their images, names, image, likeness being used?
Absolutely. I've learned a lot through this whole thing. Unfortunately, a lot of the times the harm is already done because those videos are out there forever. We have been able to, through the lawsuit, pause and have them take down like the actual server. They've actually confiscated all this stuff, and our women's images and videos and so forth have been taken down, plus these defendants, any of their stuff has also been taken down. So we've gotten their attention. But for women who are going through this, yes, depending on the situation, because these are situations that are not, a lot of them are like first instance, there's not a lot out there as to what remedies you can do to help them. I would say, I'm willing to listen out and see if I can help.
It's not a crime. Or is it a crime in Arizona, or they're working on legislation?
So they're working on legislation. So yeah, so it's funny because, and it's not funny, it's sad. It's the copyright is like a felony. The one that talks about like the revenge porn is a misdemeanor. The difference with the whole revenge porn statute is that at one point or another with revenge porn, for people who don't know, it's, you have a video of you and your girlfriend and doing something that you both consented to. And then one of you gets angry during a breakup, and then you go ahead and post up this revenge porn out to the interweb, right? The difference is that there's consent there. At one point or another, there was consent. You gave permission to be captured in that light, not thinking that there would be some type of fallback from it. In this situation, there was never any consent. So there's never any consent, and now you have, I would heighten it, but we don't have the same levels. So I know that based on what we have, we don't have anything that actually fits, but it is getting the attention of the Attorney General.
All right. I think we got to wrap it up.
Okay.
That's enough fun for me.
All right. Well, thank you.
No, thank you.
High five.
High five.
High five.
So your listeners understand my background. I am a licensed professional counselor. I do have 25 years as a therapist, and I specialize in trauma. And I've also been your friend for half of that time.
And to be clear, you have never been my therapist.
Oh,
Yes.
girl.
Okay.
Do you want to tell everybody that maybe you asked me once upon a time to be your therapist?
I did. I was like, hey, Jill.
Let's just start right now. Christina, did you ask me once upon a time to be your therapist? I mean, if we're going to do this interview, girl, let's just dive right in.
I can't believe this. Yes, I did ask you. I said, hey,
so
Jill,
sweet.
will you think about that? And you're like, absolutely not. I'm never my therapist for my friends. You're my friend first. I can't do it. I will recommend to you, blah, blah. And this was about 6 years ago, right?
It was quite a while ago. Yeah, it was a long time ago.
I remember it was in 2019.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I remember exactly when it was. Yeah.
I'm going to say, from my perspective, you handled that denial like a champ for about 2 months.
What do you mean
And then I got
denial?
another call and said, are you sure you can't be my therapist? I don't really understand how this works. And I was like, Christina, it's called a code of ethics, girlfriend. I can't
Got
see you.
it. But to be clear, I grew up in a household
that didn't believe in therapy, that doesn't believe in like talking to people, that believes in holding your emotions so you can't hold them anymore, then you explode and then everything's fine.
So tell me and your listeners, your viewers, who is Cristina Perez and how do you view yourself?
Professionally or personally?
That's up to you.
Professionally, well, both. I think I'm someone who leads with integrity, a mother, a friend, a business owner, someone who is strong in her convictions, wants to do right for those who can't do right for themselves, wants to serve a purpose in life, is God-fearing and a good person. So I believe that I'm a good person inside and out. Now, we're not all perfect. We do fail at times in things that we do and choices that we make. However, I mean, overall, I never want to intentionally hurt someone I never want to intentionally hurt someone.
Who do you think other people see you as?
That I don't know.
girl.
You know what? I don't know because a lot of times I think people only see like the surface part of me. They don't see or understand me because as you know, I tend to be very private about my life and my things, and I tend to be I have a kind of
Guarded? I'm going to use the word guarded. You tend to be guarded. Yes, I do know that about you. Carry on.
because I'm so serious. So I've had people meet me. If I've had people meet me and know me for years, and then all of a sudden, like for instance, there's one girl, Cindy Mendoza, right? So I've known her forever, and I've known her as she works with Fendon Law Group, and I've met her through many events and so forth. And I said hello and so forth. And then there was one time that we hung out at a place, and she literally said to me, she was like, I didn't know you were this cool. She goes, you just were like so always put together and so serious. You were like so reserved. I didn't even know you do that. And so it's like a different, I think many people don't see that silly, goofy, like weird part of me because I'm such a weirdo in a way. And I'd say that in a good way, but I'm like really, tend to be super silly when you get there. But most of the time I'm like really put together.
When I first met you, so take yourself back there. I mean, it was
2012.
It was a very different time than now.
Mm-hmm.
And you and I had become a part of this kind of, I'm going to be polite, fanatic workout group.
It's like a workout cult.
So I said fanatic workout group, but yes. And we would get up at 0 dark 30 so many days a week, and you could join a 4:30 a.m. class or you could join a 5:30 a.m. class. And if you went to the 5:30 a.m. class, you were deemed a slacker and not dedicated to yourself. Now, I will say there's some beautiful things that came from that, hence our friendship. A lot of the friends that we still have today come from this group. But what I know as a therapist, and I maybe didn't see it at the time, it became very clear after a number of months, is that most people that came to this group were led there in some way because they felt damaged or broken or they were trying to heal something. And I had been a part of this group for probably, I hate to admit it, because I was there longer than you were. No, I maybe wasn't.
No, you were. You were there.
I'd been a part of this group for like 6 months before you joined.
No, more, because your kids had done a program there.
That's true. That's true. But me as a person, I'd been invested in this group for 6 months before you came along. And do you remember something that brought you to that group, that got you there? I've never asked you this question. Like, what made you join us?
Okay, so
I knew people. You were like an outsider that came in.
So I actually was recommended by another person who happened to be an attorney.
Okay.
Her Beth Shapiro.
Oh, that's
Do you remember that?
Beth.
Okay.
Yep.
So Beth Shapiro, she happened to be an attorney, and she said, you need to get into this group. And I was like, well, I was looking for something. And I think at that time, I mean, if I'm going to be completely frank, I mean, I'm going to be honest and so forth. At that time, I was trying to understand who I was. It was 2012. I was 32 years old. I was still broken, like a broken birdie. And by the way, it's like a magnet. You tend to go for the broken birdies,
I do.
right? Okay.
I'm
And
drawn. I don't know why, but
yeah,
I'm drawn.
you are drawn to the broken birdies. And so at that time, it was at this point, I had just kind of married a couple years before. We had just moved. And I was trying to understand like my upbringing, and I was trying to understand an issue. Aren't we all trying to understand our upbringing?
Isn't that all what it just boils down to, girl?
I was trying to understand my upbringing, but I was also trying to understand how to deal with like sexual misconduct. I'm not saying it was sexual abuse because I'm labeling that differently these days. But like I was trying to understand how to move forward from that because as a little girl, I was sexually molested.
There you go.
And I didn't understand how to classify that and how to move on. For some reason, it held a big part of my life. So I didn't want to party anymore. I didn't want to like go out anymore. I wanted to, so it's like in my mind, well, why not like focus on wellness and health? And doesn't that mean waking up at 4:00 in the morning to be at a 6-mile run on a Tuesday morning?
Yes, I am drawn to the broken birdie. I've been that way my entire life. You're very guarded, and yes, you would show up, which was amazing. You would show up almost out of tenacity. Like I call you my little Spanish bulldog. Like your little Spanish bulldog tenacity would show up day after day after day. But you had this look on your face like, don't you dare walk up and talk to me. I'm here, but I'm not interested in any of you. I'm here to prove to myself that I can, type of thing. Now, I don't know if that was accurate or not. I now know you on a much, much deeper level. But I have to tell you, at first, I was like, Lily White girl over here was like, who's that girl over there? And she's scary. But you kept showing up. And after a minute or two, it didn't actually take me long to realize that there was something you were attempting to mend. And I never thought that I would ever be granted the opportunity to know what that was, because at that time, I wasn't sure that you were capable of trust. Does that make sense now?
It does. I mean, even to this day, it takes a lot for me to trust someone. So I don't trust easily.
No, you absolutely do not. But my point of
Yeah.
that whole thing, and let me make sure that I deliver it because I don't want you to misunderstand that. I think the Cristina that I know now isn't even remotely that same woman. And that was just 13, 14 years ago. You
Oh, for
haven't
sure.
been that woman in a very, very, very long time. Like you broke open and you allowed yourself to trust. And I think that you reaped the benefits of that. So it made it a little bit easier for you to trust. But yes, once you're in Christina's circle, you're in Christina's circle. She would lay down in front of a bus for you day or night, but you better work to earn the trust to be in the circle. Does that sound accurate?
That sounds absolutely accurate.
All right, my little Spanish bulldog, on we go. Is there anything that you are afraid of?
I'm afraid of dying without doing something special.
I get that.
Do you?
I do.
Like,
Be like
my,
worst case scenario for me.
oh,
Yeah.
So I remember writing in my sixth grade yearbook that I wanted to be the first female president. I know.
Do you still want to be the first female president?
No.
God bless.
no.
Don't do it.
No, it's too much. And I have too many skeletons in my closet. No, but I also remember thinking to myself that I remember telling my parents this, I wanted to be written in a textbook somewhere. Like I wanted to do something so great to prove to them, for them that they came to this country to like, not for waste, that I wanted to be in a textbook, my name's written somewhere. My name is now in a textbook somewhere. I do have it in my office. However, it wasn't as great. I mean, it wasn't as great as I thought when I was like, 8.
But your name's in a textbook, babe. That's pretty special. As soon as you said that, I'm like, well, that's happened. Check. But that's you and the moving targets, right? So let's just move on to the next target, which is beautiful. I get that.
Yeah.
And I love your reasoning behind it, right? I wanted to prove to my parents that it was all worth it.
Yeah. My
Yeah.
sacrificed a lot.
Yeah. What's a moment in your career where you didn't feel confident, but you had to show up anyway?
A lot of them. So I think for the beginning part of my career, especially, not as much now, but in the beginning part, I was always afraid that they were going to find out that I was just
Full of shit.
faking it. Like I was not good enough or not, not meeting up to the standards. Part of me, because when I first became an attorney, I ended up going to the prosecutor's office. I clerked for a judge, but I didn't. And then I went to work for a bankruptcy practitioner. But my goal in life had always been to work at these ivory tower buildings, and like work at, this huge firm. And I actually had the opportunity to work at a big firm. But then I ended up losing that opportunity because I didn't put, it was such a stupid thing, but I didn't put like a pending on my stuff. And I happened to tell them, but anyway, so it was like.
On your bar results?
No. On my resume.
Oh,
on my resume. It was like, it was like 2 credits shy for my
Right.
master's, and I didn't put pending MA at my master's, but I had told the interviewer, that's the only thing that
I
saved
think
me.
I've heard this story before.
Yeah.
Yep.
I cried for like 3 to 4 weeks about not having that opportunity because I felt like it ended my career.
But you had to show up like you had it all together? Like
I had to show up that I had it all together. And it was like, because of that, it's like a chip on my shoulder. So every place that I went, I felt for a long time, I felt that because I was not coming from that type of firm, that I didn't have what it takes to do the big, like glamorous cases, right? So it's like I always had that chip on my shoulder. So for me, it was always, I didn't feel confident because I didn't have that well-roundedness in a way. Now I know that's fucking bullshit, but at the time, I spent the first like 6 to 8 years of my career thinking, okay, they're gonna find out that I don't know how to like use the blue book correctly, or I'm not like well versed in like how to do the research right.
So you spent the first 4 to 6 years of your career with imposter syndrome, feeling like you were really fooling everybody else.
Yes.
Right. And at one point, they're going to find out.
Yeah.
So I would argue that probably drove you to be the woman that you are now, right?
Maybe. Yeah.
Like
for
that
sure.
feeling of yes, the chip on your shoulder. Yes, the chip on my shoulder. I have something to prove. So if I can't work for them, I'm just going to go out and do it myself.
Which is what
right?
I did. I think the other moment where I would have changed how I reacted, there was a time where I was graduating and law school.
Okay.
And Chris and I we're going away for the weekend to Sedona. There used to be this place that I loved in Sedona. It's no longer there. And I wanted to invite my grandmother. Now, my family's always had strife over the years. And I wanted to invite my grandmother to go to my graduation. And so I tell my cousin to I call my cousin, say, hey, tell my grandmother, blah, blah, blah. And she goes, okay. So somewhere along, she's like, well, call her back. I'm like, okay, I'll call her back, but let her know. So somewhere along the line, she doesn't tell my grandmother. My grandmother takes it like I'm not inviting her. And then I don't call her back because I was away for the weekend with my boyfriend, my husband now at the time.
Yeah.
And that was the last time I ever spoke to my grandmother because she got so offended that I didn't invite her. I didn't call back. And then I got so offended and ego that my cousin didn't tell her that. And I wanted to be right? Because easily I should just, that I never spoke to her again. And then she passed away. Now I graduated in 2005. I think she passed away like 3-4 years ago. So it's 20 something,
Christina.
like almost 20 years I didn't speak to her.
Because
Yeah.
of pride?
Yeah.
Desire to be right?
Yeah. Anyway, so when I went and had Eva, I was in the delivery room. I started speaking. All of a sudden, I stopped speaking English. Right? Do you remember this now?
No, okay.
Okay,
I
you
will
don't-
in a minute.
Okay, so I started speaking in Spanish, and I let all because I didn't do any. I didn't do the epidural. I did natural birth, and all of a sudden, all the pain came, all the stuff came, all the things, and all I could say was, "Ay Dios mío, mami ayúdame," and I didn't speak a lick of English. For the whole
Delivery.
birth,
During the entire delivery.
whole delivery. I didn't speak any English.
Uh-huh.
And I said to him, I'm like, that was so weird. That was so, I mean, I don't understand. I don't understand. Because English was my second language, but it's now my first, right? And I tell you this, and you're like, well, they say that when you go back and revert to pain, you become the 4-year-old self. And at 4 years old, I didn't know any English. So I think that's kind of where it was. So I wanted to do all this, but I think I also had a chip on my shoulder. I had a chip on my shoulder. And I I just talked to my husband about this the other day. And I just talked to Sophia about this the other day, where it's you go through, it doesn't matter the achievements that you make and you get to, and the goals that you achieve, the achievements that you reach. But there is a part of you, if you don't feel like you're enough, then it negates like the good things that happen. So I was like, I think I always, a part of me felt like
Wow.
I needed to be enough.
I think you needed to prove yourself. You felt like you needed to prove yourself. And even once you reached a goal, that wasn't enough. Then you
It's like a
needed
moving
to prove
target.
yourself. It's a moving target.
I know.
Absolutely.
And I think a lot of people struggle with that, the moving target, like overachievers.
As a distraction.
Overachievers, I think, have like a moving target, and it's like a trajectory that you never catch up to it, right? So it's like if you're always moving the needle, it's like you're always going. Because in my mind, I always thought that if you were complacent, then you were not achieving, right? So if you were like happy with where you were, you were complacent, you're not achieving. So if you don't feel that, and I still believe this to this day, if you don't feel that uncomfortableness, then you're not working towards a bigger goal. You're just happy with where you are.
And what's wrong with being content and being happy where you are?
I mean, I guess it depends on your goal, but I mean, I don't think I've reached my goal.
If you could relive one moment, what would it be? Good, bad, or either ways?
You know what my favorite moment in the whole wide world was? And people are going to think, oh, the day you walked down the aisle, or the day that you gave birth to your first kids. No. You're like, no.
Come on, man. Those people watch too many Hallmark movies. Are you serious? Let's go.
So I love dancing, right? People may not know. I love dancing. And there was a time in my life when I used to go to a lot of like music festivals, also known as like raves.
There you go. I was like, can we please, you're dumbing it down. You're diluting it with the music festivals.
And I had a group of friends back in New York.
A rave in New York is a different scene, by the way. Okay.
And it was like a group of friends we would always go. And this is the time, like picture 1999. And I was wearing really big parachute pants that would hang low, and like a tight shirt that was like held by like strings, and like sneaker, like just probably like braids in my hair. Anyway, so I remember going to a rave, a music festival, and in the city, and it was on one of these navy boats. And for whatever reason, it got broken up. I don't know. And so we're walking out and didn't know what to do. And it was like a quiet New York City night, which doesn't really happen very often. And it was like a really cool night. And there was all of a sudden, someone gets the idea of like popping up a hood, and like they had speakers. Like this is the time when you had like these big speakers in your car. And they basically had a DJ party in the street, and everyone was dancing in the street. And I have to tell you that to this day, that is my most memorable time. Everyone started dancing in the street. We had the best time. I was with like the best group of friends. I don't think I speak to any of them now. And it was just like a magical moment. Like underneath
it feels like
it was
so full of joy.
It was
Like that's
so
your good
joyful.
memory. When things don't go your way, I would love the rest of the world to understand how you handle a situation when Cristina doesn't win.
I look at Sophia because I usually beat the shit out of my phone.
Of your phone. Your phone takes the brunt of that?
Not always.
You're on your 15th phone.
I kicked the trash can. No, the other day, I don't know what it was. I called, I was on the phone, and they were like, oh, you need to do this. And I just took the phone and just started smashing it. Anyway,
So anger, abuse. What is one thing that you have learned that nobody shared with you that you want them to appreciate and know and value, that maybe nobody shared with you is important?
Take a moment to breathe, let it resonate, then react. I grew up in a very reactive household. And that's a lesson I'm still learning, right? As we can tell by me beating up my phone a couple moments ago. So if you can just sit and then react, that'll help. Don't make decisions out of anger. Don't make decisions out of desperation. Make decisions out of calmness and being centered. And then know your worth. I wish I would have known, or I would have heard more, that I was worth it, that I was valuable. I think a lot of the decisions that I made in the beginning portion of my career was devaluing myself. If you know your worth, you know that you're moving with integrity, then your movements are correct. Whatever they may be, win or fail, at least you moved with integrity. I think moving with integrity above all else is something that means, and it's personal, professional, whatever it is. If you're not moving with integrity, then there's something that's missing within you.
I love you.
I love you too.
Thank you for letting me go here with you, my friend. I had no idea what I was getting myself into, but you let me go. And I could drill you for another 30 minutes, my friend.
This is over. Because I don't like feelings like this.
You did so good. Yay. We can be done, sir. Like you'll splice that. You'll cut that.